Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Samantha back here with another video. Hope you're doing okay. Wow, I think let me know how soon in your neighbourhood you have seen Christmas decorations. I saw some Christmas decorations in a couple of people's houses in my neighbourhood at the very beginning of November. I mean, wow, I think we'd only literally just seen Halloween go past and up went the Christmas trees. And houses bedecked with all sorts of Christmas decorations. How soon is too soon, guys? I think that's a little bit too soon, don't you? Although having said that, you know what? Anything goes, I suppose, these days, and you know, it doesn't affect me. And if you like Christmas decorations, then put them up in July as far as I can see. So anyway, hope you're doing all right. So today I thought we would have a look at another little Christmas design. This little wreath that I've come up with here, I don't know if you remember a little while ago when I made the sort of cha-cha-cha earrings. I was faffing around with some wire and doing these sort of internal loop style designs. I haven't got any of my cast-offs to show you, but anyway, so I came up with this beautiful little wreath. It's my take on a Christmas wreath. How beautiful is that? So you can use obviously Christmas colours. I've used red and green here, some little sparkly rondelles and some little red beads, which I thought looked a little bit like berries. No, yeah, well, you know, anyway, my interpretation. So let's have a look what we need to make this cute thing. Actually, I'm going to make some larger ones. Using the same principles, which I think I might gift as Christmas tree hanging decorations, or you know, little hanging decorations to put on your mirror in your bathroom, or you know, anywhere you fancy a bit of something fun and colourful and Christmassy. So let's go ahead and look at what we need. So first things first, we're going to need one of these. What's it called, Sammy? A copper washer. That's what it's called, Sammy. Menopause brain. Anybody else out there with menopause brain? So I get these little kits of the washers very, you know, sort of affordably from big online retailers such as Amazon, etc. And my neighbour has just started with cutting their hedges, so I hope that's not too much of a problem. If it is, I'll have to stop and come back to you. So a little copper washer. So in these sets you can get all sorts of sizes. So this size here is 14 by 18 by 1 millimeter. All right, so it's that kind of size. All right, but the principle will still apply if you wanted to make a larger one or a smaller one with anything you like. This is just an idea for you. Okay, so 14 by 18 by 1. So you're going to need one of those. You're going to need some 0.8. Here we are with my huge dobber of a reel here. 0.8 wire, 0.8 millimeter wire, which is 20 gauge. And the reason I'm using 20 gauge is because for these loops, it's a lot easier to manipulate your wire. So I'm just going to shift that out of the way because it's a big dobber. What else are we going to need? Some 0.4, 26 gauge. I'm using bare copper soft here, but you know, this would look equally beautiful in silver or gold, wouldn't it? You just have to find some closed jump rings or whatever. So that as well, I'll leave that there. What else are we going to need? Flush cutters, as per usual. Oh, I'm gonna have to come back to you on this. Why is it whenever you want to sit down to do something, somebody wants to make some noise? Oh dear. Hopefully it'll start raining soon and they'll push off inside. So I'm using my 6-step bail making pliers, 2 to 9 increments, and for this particular one I'm using this guy and the small. So it's 2 millimeter and 5 millimeter. 2, no it's not, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay, so I'm using 2 and 7 millimeter mandrels. What else are we going to need? We're going to need some of your favourite, you know, chain nose pliers. As always, these, you know, I call these my usual suspects, just whatever you like. I have these guys too. I just have them all to hand, and then you can pick and choose. What else will we need? We're going to need some beads, obviously. So today I'm going to be showing you these, this guy with 3 by 2.5 millimeter rondelles, tiny little rondelles for this bit here. And then these sort of bright red berry type beads, these are 4mm. All right, so just choose whatever you like, whatever you want, and anything goes. But I think a bit of sparkle for Christmas is cool, isn't it? So I'm going to stop the video now, wait for my neighbour to stop with the hedge cutting, and I'll come back to you and we'll make this gorgeous, gorgeous Christmas wreath pendant. Okay, so I'll see you in a few. Righty ho, so we're back, and the first thing that we need to do is to make this lovely frame here. All right, so there's 10 loops around here, 10 sort of loops, if you will. So I'll show you how to do that first. So you're going to come in with your 0.8 20 gauge copper wire. Okay, and you're going to need to measure out a decent length, because you're making 2 loops on each of the each of the 10, and each of the 10 loops takes twice round. So you're going to need, I don't know, let's get this tape measure out and have a look. I'm going to say err on the side of caution and go for 50 centimetres. And if it's any less than that, when we've done it, you can tell me off for making your waste wire. Not sure exactly how much I used. I should have measured it out when I was faffing around. What's that? About 20 inches, guys, okay? So let's get going. And hopefully the rain has started in my conservatory, so hopefully it's not too distracting. Some people like to hear the rain, don't they? But anyway. So here we go. Let's get our 6-step bell making pliers. So the first thing you need to do is to make some loops. So I'm using this one here, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 millimeters. This guy here. So what I tend to do is leave a little bit of a tail here at one end, and bend around and over, so that you have just a simple loop like so. Okay. And then come in with the first step, which is 2 millimeters, and pop it inside the loop like so, grasp and bend around. You'll need to take your pliers out and put them back in, so that we have a larger loop with a smaller loop inside. All right, so again, around here, leave about a millimeter gap in between, over the top like so, and around like so. Pop your plier back in and bend it around. Take your pliers out and reset them, so you make some really nice neat loops like so. I'll just do one more, and then we'll come back when we've made 10 of them. Okay, so leave about a millimeter around, over the top. There we go. Place the plier back in with the smallest one, and around. Oh, that's getting really annoying, isn't it? And round and about. Okay, so do that 10 times. So we've got a line of these, 10 of these, and we'll meet back. Okay, so I'll see you in a few. So guys, you should have something that looks a little bit like this now. Okay, so you've got 10 of these little double loops here. And I said, about 50 centimeters. And I've got a little bit left over here, sort of, I don't know, 5 centimeters. So, 45 to 50 centimeters. So I wasn't far off, which is good. So literally just snip that there. So you have something like this. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to be aiming to make this rosette type situation here. All right. So because we're going to be bending this rosette around the copper washer or your big jump ring or whatever it is that you're going to be using. So best thing to do now to make this rosette is to make sure that you bend these guys round into a circle, all right? But you need to keep them really, really close together. So what I think, you know, is the best way of doing it is come in with your chain nose pliers and just where these these straight lines are here, just come in with the tip and just literally bend a little tiny little angle, just bend it slightly like so. So each one like so, and again like so. And then when we've done this at the end, we're going to be bringing all these circles back together into, you know, into a circle. Bringing these circles into a circle. Honestly, I don't make any sense, do I? I don't even make sense to myself, so don't worry about it. I don't make any sense to anybody. Okay, so trying to, you know, using the pads of your fingers, etc. You know, you bend these guys round so that they bend into something that looks like a rosette. All right, so we need to make sure that we keep all of the little loops all smushed up together so that they kind of meet like so. All right, so that's our rosette. It'll be a bouncy, springy rosette, but that's what we're looking for. All right, so the next thing we need to do is to get rid of these little end bits here. So you cut at the back, because obviously this is the front and the back. So this back side here, where this length of wire comes out the back, you need to turn that over and cut about here so that you have this little guy at the back. And if you just need to tuck that in slightly, then that's fine, like so. All right, you need to do the same on the other side, but this guy will be at the front, obviously, because we've gone the same way around. You can make them, you know, alternating, but, you know, for this kind of design, it doesn't matter. So, you know, you would have it alternating around so that they both end at the back, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. So just snip. Come on, snip. Oh, there we go. So that we literally have our loops like so. All right, can you see that there? So this guy, this section here, doesn't have a joining part, but it doesn't matter because it all comes together when we are wrapping the green beads around. All right, so don't worry about that being loose for now. All right, so here we go. So just pop it around your jump ring and just see whether it fits nicely. It just needs to just come in just a slight touch more into a circle shape. So, you know, just bend them in a little bit. There's a bit of room for maneuver with this, which is good. That's what we like, isn't it? Wonderful. So squish these guys up a little bit just in case. And if they overlap slightly, that's absolutely fine. It gives it a little bit of texture if it does. Not to worry about anything. There we go. So you just want to make sure that everything fits nice and snugly around that. That's brilliant. That's working beautifully. Right. So the next thing we need to do is to attach this guy around the little copper washer here. All right. So hopefully by now you've managed to squidge this guy around so it creates a nice little circle rosette like so. So the next thing we need to do is to come in with our wire. So I've got a piece of wire here, about 50 centimeters long. What's that, about 20 inches, something like that. And I suggest you start in the middle just because it's easier. I think it's easier. All right, so you just want to secure this guy here like so. So just secure it in between like so. All right, so can you see here? We're just securing it with a little tail and push the rest of this wire through and in between each of these loops. And I've done 3 wraps around mine. You can do as many as you like. You can fill the whole thing up if you like, or not, as the case may be. So you just want to basically go around and attach between each of the loops with 3 or 4 wraps. It's up to you. I quite like a scrappy-ish look on this. Neat as you like, as untidy as you like, as many times as you like. Oops, please don't, please don't. Please don't faff around with me. Here we go. Oh, what's happened here? What has happened here? There we go. So just pull it through like so. That's it. And then back through for 3 wraps. So like I say, I'm doing 3 wraps in between each of mine. So make them quite tight and squidge them up like so. And then over through the next one. All right, so each one of these little sections in between where this line is, you see here, you want to be wrapping that tightly against your copper washer. Gosh, I can't talk today. What's going on? All right, so keep going round like so. Squidge them up, and then, like you can see, through the next one. So that each time you do this, it's bringing your little rosette. I'm going to use the word rosette because, for want of a better word, it brings it closer to the copper washer. All right, I'm making this look harder than it actually has to be because I'm not having a good luck day today. You know, some days where everything just goes wrong. So I've tried to record this video about 14 times now, thanks to Stormbird and the guy who won't go inside and make himself a cup of tea, but decides he's going to trim all of his hedges on a day when it's hailing, which is a real pain. So there we go. So can you see here? We're just going around and around like so. All right, and attaching each one of these to our copper washer. So this is the number 2 and number 3. Each time just squish things up so that things are nice and tidy. So when you get to this part here, you're going to have to miss a section, all right, because you don't have a straight, a straight piece of wire. So don't worry about that too much. So all you need to do is do a false wrap here and just do 3, make it a false wrap. But don't worry about all of that because it does sort itself out when we get to the other side. All right, so a false wrap. Understand what I'm saying? So you're not actually wrapping onto anything. And then come with the next wrap in between. Okay, so keep going through like so. And whilst we're just coming towards the end of this, let me know how soon is too soon for Christmas decorations. Are you the kind of person that sticks them up in July? If you are, good for you. No judgment here. On this channel, no judgment about anything. You do what makes you happy, is my personal opinion. So keep squishing those up. I was having a chat with my lovely friend Linda from Gumnut Lane Jewellery. Actually, go check Linda out. I'll leave a link to her channel in my description box because she's wonderful. And I was having a chat with her last night, well, my last night and her morning, because she's in Australia. And we were chatting about Christmas decorations and, what's too much, what's too early. But, we came to the conclusion that whatever makes you happy, isn't it? So we're coming towards the end here, like so. A bit too much wire there, so probably 40 centimetres would be good, wouldn't it? Don't want to waste too much wire, although we can use this later for when we're wrapping the little green beads on, so nothing is wasted. So can you see here how we have, where's my false wrap? There is my false wrap there. All right, so you can see that it doesn't actually make any difference at all. So you've now wrapped your little rosette onto your frame, so give that a snip and come in with your little pliers and just, you know, sort of squudge that little guy down there. And I think, yep, is there too many on there? 1, 2, 3. No, that's fine. So we will pull this guy neat and tidy and snip there. Whoops, mind your eyes, guys. And then give that again a little smush, 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 and just tidy things up. All right, so here we have our little frame. All right, so how cute. I mean, that's beautiful anyway, isn't it? You could, you know, we'll maybe do something in the summertime, floral related with a similar frame, I think. What do you reckon? So as you can see here, we've got our copper washer and our frame attached. How beautiful is that? Lovely. So the next thing we need to do is start to attach our beads. So for me, I suggest you do the green ones first, because that will bring everything in and keep everything nice and tight and taut. All right, which is what we want. We don't want it to fall apart, do we? Now, so when you're doing this, you're going to be needing your 26 gauge again, okay? Now, there's two ways of doing this and two trains of thought. If you are like me, you like to use smaller pieces of wire, and there's a reason why I do that, is because when you are wrapping, if you use a longer piece of wire, the more you work it, the more brittle it becomes. So even though it looks like wasteful, I think it's, in the long run, it's better to use shorter pieces of wire. So what I do is I collect all my little scraps that I've used for other other things, and come in and use these guys. So let's go ahead with our little beads. Right, so there's a knack to doing this, okay, so which I'll just describe for you. So you want to be wrapping, I don't know if you can see this, I'll try and bring it as close as I can. You want to be wrapping these little green beads on either side with 6 wraps. So the first thing we need to do is to come in and wrap the first bead in the center. I'll show you what I mean. So take your little bead, I'll put a few out here. Let's hope they don't all go everywhere. All right, so attach your wire and bring it up. If you're left-handed, obviously you do the opposite to what I'm doing here. So bring it up and secure. Now what I tend to do now, because I've got arthritis in my hands and I'm not as strong as I used to be, I come in with my pliers to do this. All right, so 3 wraps around like so. So you've got the short wire coming over the top like so, and the longer wire coming underneath. So we pop a little bead on. Mrs. Magoo strikes again. Hang on. Right, there we go. So we put our bead in the middle like so. Can you see that? Actually, I'm just going to lean over because the sun's started to come in. Bear with me. There we go. It's much easier to see, isn't it? And I'll organise the brightness when I go into editing. I think that's probably the best way. There we go. So we have 3 wraps here, our little bead in the middle. All right, and on this side we want to make 6 wraps. I'll show you why in a minute. So get your bead inside. So that's 1 and through like so. Oh, please don't start raining again. It's been one of those days. I've been trying to record this video for ages now today. How many have we got there, Sammy? So that's 2. This is number 3. That's 3. And 4. And 5. And 6. And I'm just going to pause because here comes Bertie again with his ridiculous hail. I'll be back in a few. No, I'm just going to go ahead and carry on, and then if it gets too bad for you, I will have to do a little bit of a voiceover. So we've got 3 wraps on this side, okay, 6 wraps on this side, and our little bead in the middle. Turn it over, all right, and put 3 of your little beads on. So like I say, these are 3 by about, I think 3 by 2 rondelles would be fine. I used my electronic calipers, and these are actually 3 by 2.5, but it doesn't matter, just whatever fits on. All right, so then we bend this over the top nice and neatly. So we have 6 on this side and 3 on this side, but because we've reversed things, we're going to do another 3 wraps on this side. So through and pull nice and tight, keeping everything nice and tight and taut and happy, and then you need 3 wraps. So that means that you've got 6 on either side, if that makes sense. I'll just do this one and then I'll do one more just to show you what I mean. Hopefully that rain is keeping away. Thank you, Stormbird. Let's just ruin everybody's day, shall we? Ridiculous. Right, there we go. Although having said that, you know what? You guys have much worse storms in the US than we do here in the UK. So, you know, we do all right, really, for storms. Right, so what you need to do, because you've got the beginning thing here, wire here, and the end wire, just snip them both close. So snip and snip, get rid of that little piece. Come in with your pliers, and as usual, smush, 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 and smush, smush, smush. All right, so as you can see here, we have our first set of beads on. So because we've got 6 on one side and 6 on the other. So I'll just do one more of those. All right. Next door. Basically, you just work all the way around. So secure your wire, bring that through. And like me, if you need to, come in and secure the wire. So 3 wraps to start with. So that's 1 and 2 and 3, so that your longer piece of wire is coming out the back, like so. Take your little bead, like so. All right, so can you see we have 3 wraps on the left, and then through, and very tightly and neatly settle him into place there, and round, okay, for 6 wraps. That's 1, 2, keeping everything nice. I'm just going to try and get this done before the hail starts again. Good grief. 4 seasons in one day here today. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And through the 6. So again, 3 wraps on one side, 6 on the other. Turn it over and pop your 3 little beads on. So that's 1, oops, and 2, and 3. Here comes the hail. Bend it over, and with your thumb and your forefinger here, keep this nice and tight, and through for 3 more wraps. All right, so that's 1, again, use your plier if you have to, and 2. Oh, good grief, the weather. Okay, and 3. So we have 6 wraps on each side of the beads. Smush things up nice and neat and tidy, and at the back here to cut these guys off. Oh, I might be able to keep going. Can I keep going, or do I have to pause? Oh, anyway. Again, snip and snip. There we go. Get rid of these little pieces, which you might be able to use for something else, you might not. And smush, 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 and a smush, so that everything is neat and tidy. All right, so here we've got this going on. So all you need to do now is to obviously go round and do this 10 times until it looks like that. And I will meet you back, and hopefully the hail will have stopped by then, and you can hear me talking. So I'll see you in a few. Right, I'm braving the weather here, guys, and so how are we getting on? I'm doing this in breaking the weather, so hopefully it will not start hailing again in my conservatory. So we'll just come back and do the very last one. I hope you found that okay. Just pop this round for 3 wraps, like with the others, like so. There we go. Don't know if you can probably hear in the background, it's lightly raining now. So honestly, I hope you enjoy this video and it's not too discordant for you with the weather, because you can't pick the weather, and I can't use any other room in my house because the light isn't right. As much as I have relatively decent sized windows in my house, this is the brightest spot for doing videos. So, okay, let's just finish this off. So that's 1 and 2. Oh, and 3. How did you get on with that, guys? Did you find it okay? Beautiful design, actually. I do quite like a wreath, you know, like a spring wreath or an autumn one even. I think wreaths are really, really pretty, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. And then we pop our last 3 beads on to complete the circuit, so to speak. Just snip that off. I'll try not to make it too long because it's quite an involved design is this one, so hopefully you'll make it along with me and we'll have a nice visit with a cup of tea or something a bit stronger if that's what you fancy, or a coffee. There we go. Okay, so finish off with the last 3 wraps. So that's 1 and 2, and let's have a look, is that 3? 1, 2 and 3. There we go. So snip that last guy off, and as usual, come in with your smushers. Smush, smush, smush. Okay, so there we are. So that is the beginnings of our wreath. So, I mean, you know, you could leave it like that if you wanted to. How beautiful is that anyway? Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Now, I don't know if you remember that we had this false wrap here. Can you remember when we had these 2 sides that weren't connected? All right. So as you can see, because we have wrapped these beads here, it makes them pretty stable. But we do still have this tiny little gap. But to be honest, you can't really tell. And you won't be able to tell even further when we start wrapping our little berries on. All right. So let's do that now. So I'll come in with these little 4mm. Okay. So again, start away from the join. I'd start sort of halfway round, and again you're going to want about 50 centimeters. That's what's that, 20 inches of your 0.4 26 gauge. And we're on the home straight now. I actually really enjoy making this. I hope you feel the same way. So what we need to do is to secure this around, I can't remember whether I did it above or below. I did it over the top, that's fine. So secure this guy around like so in this section here. All right, so you know where these 2 hoops meet, and pop your wire through, making sure not to kink it. Now, you know, obviously kinky wire is not good for us, is it? So up, back through, and I would suggest you do that. What did I do then? Back through, Sam, honestly. Here we go. Back through. Start again, Sammy. Back through. All right. And then up through this one. It's because I sent it through the wrong hole, that's why. All right, so I'd secure this with two wraps. Okay, so can you see in between? So you want to go back through this one, making sure it doesn't kink up as always, and then back up the left one. That's where I went wrong. There we go, like so. So you're securing it in between each with 2 wraps, nice and secure. Right, so what we're going to be doing is popping our red beads atop each of these little loops. So if you find that one of these little loops is just slightly offset, which, you know, can happen when we're manipulating the wire, just come in with your pliers and just center each of these little guys here, taking great care with your separated, you know, the 2 guys that aren't, you know, that are on their own, wiggling around a little bit. Just take good, you know, much care with those. So take your bead, pop your bead on. I hope all this is making sense. It doesn't feel like it is. Pop your bead on so it sits on top of this little guy here. Now, if you feel like it's not quite straight, you know, if it's sort of tipping up at one side, just come in with your plier and sit your bead on top like so. Then take your long wire and pop it through the one to the right or the left if you're left-handed. So the one next door essentially. Pull that down. Make sure that there's no kinks, which I think that might do if I'm not careful. There we go. All right, so we want to do the same thing and secure it around this center column here. So back up. And again, secure with 2 wraps in between each one. So it's hard to work with a longer piece of wire, and it gets easier, doesn't it, as the wire gets a bit shorter. That's 2. Always keep your wire nice and straight. Come in with your nylon jaw pliers and give it a bit of a straighten if you need to. Okay, so we've got 2 wraps in between and we're set up for the next one. I think that just needs to be just twisted slightly just to fit our next bead on, which I will do just to show what I mean. Come on, Mrs. Magoo. Good Lord. There we go. There we are. So pop it atop the little loop here, like it sits on top. It sits nicely on top. Okay, through the next door loop, like so. And essentially you just go all the way round, securing each one of these beads with 2 wraps in between. I hope you're following that okay. If not, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments anyway. How are you doing? You know, I like to hear from you. And whilst I'm doing this, let me tell you about my Facebook group, which is private. So it's a very safe space. As you know, this is my mental health journey and my way of keeping myself occupied, that kind of thing. And I pride myself in my Facebook group being an extremely safe space. So if you fancy joining us over there, I will leave a link in the description box. I also have a free content Patreon page. Now, that's basically there so that I can just ramble on about lots of different things. And if you want to join me over there, I'll also leave a link. Free content. If you decide that you want to upgrade just to support me and my ramblings, that's entirely up to you. It's no obligation at all. But, you know, if you wanted to do that, a few people do that. So very, very nice of them to support me in such a fashion. So thank you guys. Okay, so we're getting there, aren't we? Just keep pointing that through. Like so. And just keep these guys on top and secure with 2 wraps in between. So I'll just come in for another one. And then I might leave you to it actually, so that you're not sitting here listening to me bimble on about nothing in particular, which I know is not sometimes what you want to hear. Somebody rambling on about nonsense. But Christmas is on its way at some point pretty soon, so let's enjoy the reds and the greens of the season, shall we? I think this is a really pretty design. What do you think? All right, so I will just do the one more. Keep these nice and tight and taut so that these red beads aren't going anywhere. All right, just do one more, and then I will meet you back when we have made our beautiful Christmas wreaths. So through this one here, like so, and like so. Thankfully, the rain has stopped and the hail has stopped. All right, so back up through. I love making jewellery. I love making accessories. It's so mindful. So when you're making something beautiful like this, I think it's beautiful. It's a matter of opinion, I guess. Everybody has their own taste, but I think when you're making things like this, it's nice to just sit and be mindful. Remind yourself about the good things that you have in your life. I know a lot of us are going through some tough times at the moment for all sorts of different reasons, whether it being environmental or in our families, you know, that kind of thing. But if you can just sit down now and again, make yourself something really pretty, kind of just takes your mind off things, I think, for a little while at least. And I think that's very good for us, just to relax our minds. And I find that doing something like this really does relax the mind. So, last one, and then I will stop the video and we will meet back when we've all completed our wreaths. Okay, so have fun doing this part and I will see you when we're complete. All right, so I'll see you in a few. And we are back. So how are you getting along? All right, so we are right at the very end here. And excuse me, I'm just going to do the last, no, excuse me. Just do the last bead. Sit it atop there, like so, and back through for a couple of wraps. Now, when you are making this, obviously I did say about that section that's not joined up. You'll find that when you've wrapped these red beads around, that everything is nice and secure and you can't tell the difference. So trust me on that one. Okay, so if you come at the back here, like so, you've got one going one way, one going the other way. So you just snip and snip at the back. And then again, like usual, just come in with your chain nose or your smushers, as I call them. Your smushers, and then just using your fingers and your thumbs, just pop everything into place. And if you've got one that sort of pops off a little bit, just tighten the wire down. So just make sure that when you're putting them on, they're nice and tight. Oh, and that won't pop into place. Okay, so the 4mm beads will sit on top of those little loops. How gorgeous is that? Look at that, isn't that beautiful? So, I mean, if you really wanted to be quite in pizzazz, you're like pizzazzy and you were going to a lovely big party, you could even make those into earrings, couldn't you? Who's brave enough to wear those as earrings? I'm not so sure I would be so brave to wear them as earrings. So there you go. So like I say, just make sure that when you are wrapping these red beads that you do it quite tightly so that they sit in the little apertures made by those little loops at the back. How pretty is that at the back as well? All right, so I really hope you enjoy making that. and do it mindfully. Let's enjoy this festive season, because I know it can be quite stressful for some people, can't it? But it doesn't need to be. Just make something beautiful, as my friend Linda says, and I hope you enjoy making those. All right, so let me know in the comments how you get along. You can put a copper chain around, or you can just make a beautiful decorative bail. There's lots and lots of wire artists on YouTube who will show you how to make some gorgeous decorative bails. Simple jump ring, cord, a red ribbon, anything like that. Or indeed, you could put a ribbon on it and make it, you know, like a hanging ornament if you wanted to, or a bag charm or something like that. Okay, so I shall see you in my next video, which may or may not be Christmas related. So I'll see you soon, guys. Thanks for watching, as always.